question, the member from Toronto Danforth.
Thank you, Speaker. My question to the acting Premier. This government keeps insisting that it must spend an extra $4 billion on a complicated alternative financing scheme because it is the only way to keep ratepayer and taxpayer costs separate. But nearly 20 years ago, the government established the Ontario Electricity Financial Corporation. It was established as a way to separate taxpayer and ratepayer funds. The problem for this government is the OEFC debt stays on the government's books, and this government wants to keep deficits and debt off the books to make the Liberal Party look better. Will the government admit that it is wasting $4 billion in ratepayer money for no other purpose than to help the Liberal Party?
Minister of Energy.
Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very pleased to rise and talk about the policy decision that we made as a government. Mr. Speaker, we all know that the Fair Hydro plan is actually reducing the rates by 25% for every single household in this province and for 500,000 small businesses and farms. Mr. Speaker, that policy decision made sure that we actually looked at where the assets, where the borrowing was coming from, and then made sure that the borrowing stayed within the electricity system. We actually did pull costs from the rate base and put it onto the tax base, Mr. Speaker. Those were the social programs. The Affordability Fund, which we announced yesterday, Mr. Speaker, which is a $100 million fund, which is going to help tens of thousands of more people in this province with their electricity bills, Mr. Speaker. We're going to continue to work for the people of Ontario and continue to provide the relief that we know that they wanted and asked for.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Again to the acting Premier. Speaker, the government could have used normal public sector accounting to achieve exactly the same policy goals, and it would have cost ratepayers $4 billion less. It could have used the OEFC to administer the program and keep ratepayer and taxpayer funds separate. The only reason to use this $4 billion alternative financing trick is to hide the true cost of the government's hydro borrowing scheme from the public. The only reason. Will the government help ratepayers instead of the Liberal Party and stop this needless waste of $4 billion today?
Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In regards to the OEFC, it is still involved, and as the member may or may not know, during our recent transaction to broaden the ownership of Hydro One, it paid down OEFC debt in order to, again, accommodate our work. Furthermore, we inherited a stranded debt of almost $28 billion from the opposition, which was not a marketable opportunity, unlike what is happening here in this instance. And, Mr. Speaker, as we proceed forward, we're taking a proportionate amount off the tax base, and we've taken a proportionate amount off the rate base, as is normal under these circumstances, Mr. Speaker. OEFC is engaged, and it's doing its part. Thank you.
Thank you. New question, the member from Barrie.
Thank you, Speaker.